Hi, so welcome to session 1 of What They Don't Teach You at First Time Homebuyer class. This session is going to be about the walkthrough. What's a walkthrough? So when you're purchasing a property, you've made your offer's been accepted, you're under contract, you've had your inspection, you've gone over the inspection report, and you've moved into purchase and sale. And now you're getting ready to close. Before you close and you actually own the property, it's a really good idea to have a walkthrough. Walk through the property before you sign on the dotted line. Well, I like to have my walkthroughs really close to when when you're going to sign. I don't want it a day or two before. I really try to make it maybe an hour before. Some people might think that's excessive, but I got a story for you. So my buyer and I went out for our walkthrough and we decided to do it the night before. Why not the same day like I really like it? Because the property was way out in the western part of Mass, and the the closing where he's going to sign the papers was up north on the eastern border. So instead of us saying, okay, we're going to try to scrunch it all together in one day, we're going to the day before. So I got there and I kept saying to myself, even though it was winter, yeah, it's the dead of winter, there's snow everywhere, I kept saying, this house is too cold. Usually when a house is empty, yeah, it feels cold. And even if you have the temperature down really low, it wasn't the same type of cold that I was experiencing. My buyer hadn't gotten there yet, so I just started looking around. Went through all the upstairs, downstairs. I said, you know what? The only thing left, I've got to go in the basement. My buyer came, we went in the basement, and guess what we found? All of the guts of the burner, the boiler, the heating system, they were out on the floor. Now, first of all, I'm going to say in my mind, I'm sure the sellers must know about this. They must have known that there was a problem, but maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't know there was a problem. So then we got a little bit further. When you see in the picture, you'll see that not only are the guts of the furnace out on the floor, there's a man's jacket. Looks like a man's jacket. Okay, there's a jacket. There's a jacket on the floor, food, and a soda. My brain is saying, this is the workman. Now, who would have hired the workman? Someone from the sell side must have hired the workman, which would say they know there's a problem. They didn't communicate that to us on the buy side at all. And the truth of the matter is, if we had not gone to look and my buyer had gone and signed all the papers, then he would have purchased the property as is without the furnace working. But because we were there and I saw that the guts of the furnace were out on the floor, I had to contact the sell side and say, okay, we're not having the closing. This has to be repaired before we close. Because he already had the inspection and it was supposedly working during the inspection. That's the condition of the property he's expecting to be purchasing. So that's one story. I'm sure I have lots more. So the moral of that story is definitely have your walkthrough. Walk through the property before you sign. Look carefully before you sign. Session 1, now we're going to move to a document. So I mentioned all the different stages that you go through to purchase a property. So we're just going to look at the very beginning. We're going to start off with the very first form when you are hiring your buyer agent. Now, why would you need to hire a buyer agent? A lot of people say, well, there's already an agent there on the property, because that agent represents the seller. And if they have information that might be pertinent to the negotiations, they do not have to tell you. That's why you get a buyer agent. You get a buyer agent to see if they can get some information that will help you out. It's not just to help you find the property. Yes, a buyer agent will help you find the property. A lot of people do a lot of searching online, that kind of thing. But some people just don't have time to be searching online, so they use the buyer agent to do that. Okay, the other thing as a buyer agent that I do for people, depending on your financing, I run a lot of numbers to see if you can make it all the way to the closing table. Yes, a lot of people say that the person, the lender, that's their job. Yes, I don't know the DTI, the debt to income ratio, so I do need to use the lender for that. But sometimes, especially on a multi, there are things that we can do so we don't waste a lot of time going out, looking at properties, and then they get an offer accepted, and then it's back on the market due to financing. You know, we can run some numbers and just don't even go to the ones that we know won't make it over hurdle 1, 2, and 3. So anyway, the first document we're going to look at is going to be the buyer agreement. And we might not do the whole thing, maybe just the first section of it, and then we can leave the rest for session 2. So this is the buyer representation agreement, and we're going to go over it line by line. The first line at the top says Greater Boston Real Estate Board. Its mission as the leader of the profession is to act as advocate for the profession and to educate, inform, and serve its members and serve the public. So they're there to help the public and the members work better together. They devised this form to help real estate agents and buyers work better together. There are other forms out there, and maybe in the future I'll talk about one of the other forms. The next line says Buyer Representation Agreement. This document states what the real estate agent is going to be looking for. There are stories where buyers have told me that they told the agent they did not want a house that had any stairs, and the agent kept bringing them to a house with stairs. So that's what this form is. We're going to agree on what it is that you're saying as the buyer that you actually want to purchase. The next line is the date that the form was written. And the next line is the name of the buyer. The next line says the broker. It's actually the name of the brokerage that the real estate agent works under. There's just one broker of record for an office, and that broker has to take responsibility for all of the agents in that office. The real estate agents act in place of the broker. Then it goes on to say, in the consideration of the mutual covenants, we're getting married, and agreements herein contained, the undersigned buyer hereby gives the undersigned broker, even though it's not the actual broker, it's the agent working in the broker's stead, the sole and exclusive right to represent the buyer in the purchase of a property as herein detailed. The buyer grants to the broker the sole and exclusive right to arrange for the acquisition by the buyer of property of the type generally described as follows. And from now on, it'll just be called the property. Also, in section 1, this is where it gets to be a little bit more fun, where the buyer is stating what they want to purchase. A residential property, a commercial property, an investment property, a vacation property, a single family, multifamily, condominium, or other. This is where, in the general description, you tell me that you don't want a house with stairs. You have to have a colonial It's got to have a garage. You need a 2-car garage. This is where you put that in. Oh, you can tell me you can't stand a galley style kitchen, that type of thing. One of my buyers told me that she was going to work from home and she needed a house that she could sit in her office, look out the window, and see her children playing in the backyard. If she couldn't have that, there was no sense in buying a property. So the general description box is where I'm going to put that type of specific information. Talk to you later. Bye.